something different, totally unique. I know all the shows are different, but I'm real excited about this one. Not an antique tonight. We have a new sword. It's on loan from a private collection, forged by one of Japan's greatest living smiths. It's also part of the Pleiades, the first limited edition wakizashi in the history of samurai swords. Fantastic piece, beautiful. You'll never ever see anything this beautiful outside of a museum. I gotta go change. You stay tuned. This is Sword Talk. Hello again, everybody. Welcome. Wherever you are, however you found us, thanks for spending part of your day with us. And you'll be glad you did, because we have a very unique show. We always have a great show, but we have a unique show tonight because we have a newly produced sword. Every sword that we do on Sword Talk before this has been an antique. That's what Sword Talk is about. We do discussions of antiques that I have purchased for sale. And we go into the unique history of it and go over the beauty of it as fine art. If you've been to my website, and if you haven't, get over to see the website. It is American-Samurai.com. American dash, don't forget the dash, samurai.com. The dash is important. And you know that if you've seen episode 17. All right, so on the website, we don't do antiques. It's my two projects, which is the 8 Samurai, the most exclusive art club in the world. 8 katanas forged by 8 Mukanza Masters for 8 clients, limited series. And there's also a limited wakizashi series called the Pleiades, the 7 sisters. The Pleiades is a constellation. It's a rather obscure constellation, but for some interesting reason, it is sacred to many, many ancient civilizations. I don't know why. It's not as prominent as the Big Dipper or Orion's belt, but there it is. In Japanese mythology, it's very significant, so much so that the Japanese car manufacturer Subaru chose it as its logo. I think they feature 5 of the 7 stars in their logo. The book that comes with all of my wakizashi swords in this series has a fabulous hologram of the constellation. It's worth buying the sword just to get that hologram. So the way that series works is all of the swords in that series are produced by one Mukanza Samurai Master, and that is Ichiro Kurumasa Matsuba. And he is one of Japan's greatest living smiths. He is Mukanza Master, and Mukanza is an interesting designation. It means literally without judgment. So if you achieve the rank of Mukanza, it means that nobody is allowed to criticize your work. That's not bad. I'm still working on getting Mukanza for husbands and fathers. Grandfathers already come with that designation, so that's cool, at least to our grandkids. Mukanza Masters take decades to achieve that ranking. They work hard at it, and when they get that designation, they do something very, very interesting. At least in the art world it is. Every sword is signed, just like great artwork is signed. But when you become a Mukanza Master, you're allowed to add a name or change your name in some way, which means that you add a different kanji letter to your engraving on the tang of the sword. If we slip out the blade on the tang of the sword, is the signature of the smith, the year he made the sword, the school, the prefecture where he lives, all of that history. And then the sword is registered with the with the Samurai Preservation Society. So that's how we're able to track ancient swords and antique swords. So it's very important to the smith that when they change their name, what they're trying to tell the future generations is, don't judge me by those old swords. This is when I became a master. This is my best work. As an interesting difference between the Western art world and the Eastern art world, if I had the first work of Picasso, well, that'd be great, wouldn't it? You know, first Rembrandt, the first Chagall, well, that'd be great. Samurai smiths a little bit different. They know that they're getting better as they get older and as they perfect their craft. So what they want to be judged on is their best work. It's a tremendous honor to reach that level. And when I was looking to do the 8 Samurai series, I obviously was only going to use Mukanza Masters. And I had to pick somebody, because it was such a non-traditional project that I was doing, I had to pick somebody that was real 21st century, really open. And Matsuba he's a rock star. He's a great guy and a great smith. And I'm so happy to be doing that series with him. There's 3 in the series. They're all sold. And number 4 is in production and will be available for sale, I hope, by Christmas time this year. I have found in dealing with the Japanese, it's impossible to rush them. It's been 2 years in the making, and that's normal. The one we have today is number 3 in the series. And it's from a private collection, so it's on loan from us today for the filming. And the owner of it, her and her husband lived around the world and amassed a very unique art collection, I think. Not paintings, but she's got a few paintings, but just unique stuff. She's got a hand-carved African chess set I love. She's got great sculptures, really just interesting pieces. And when her husband died a few years back, she wanted to get a sword that honored his memory. And we wanted to pick something theme-wise that fit his specific and unique characteristics. So we chose the Legend of Dragon Gate. Now, the Legend of Dragon Gate, is one of Japan's more popular legends. It's very popular with students who are preparing for final exams, people who are preparing or hoping for a promotion in work. Any kind of level of achievement is honored in the Legend of Dragon Gate, because the Legend of Dragon Gate is about a carp, a koi fish, that aspires to be the best that he can be. He wants to become a dragon. He wants to become immortal. Well, how do you do that? 1 in a million has it within him or her to have this desire. And to do that, it must pass through the Dragon Gate. Well, that seems pretty easy, right? Go find the Dragon Gate and get through it. Well, the legendary Dragon Gate is at the top of a spiritual waterfall that flows from a spiritual mountain. And the carp, the koi, must climb up, must swim up the waterfall and pass through the Dragon Gate. Not so fast, because the gods put you through the ultimate test. As you're trying to do this, they rain down all sorts of obstacles. Thunder, lightning, rain, wind. They're just trying to test you and test your spirit. And the 1 in a million carp that tries it, then there's 1 in a million that actually does succeed. Passes through the Dragon Gate, becomes an immortal dragon. Great story, right? Well, the koi, which is very popular in Japan, you may or may not have noticed, but they did, that the koi has scales much like much like a dragon. So they take this legend of a lowly creature and they show how it becomes something greater than it was originally destined to be. Dragons in the East are not like dragons in the West. First of all, they don't have wings. The dragon mythology, which is shared by China, Japan, and Korea, the dragon is totally different. Without wings, does exist in the sky and in the water. The dragon can represent characteristics. It can represent symbols of immortality and of the gods. Sometimes dragons appear in stories as a symbol of something that tests the hero, a characteristic that limits you or stands in the way of reaching your goal, like pride or envy or fear. And sometimes the dragon, in that sense, must be slain before you can move on. So the dragon can be both good and foreboding, but he's not a bad guy. He's the dragon. And it's one of the most powerful and popular symbols on the fittings of Japanese swords. I'm wearing gloves today because this is not my sword. When I'm handling antiques, they're mine until you buy them. But this is, as I said, on loan from a collection. So out of respect, I am handling it with gloves. Let's start with the blade. Matsuba Kurimasa is known to be one of the great living smiths in Japan. His blades are absolutely fantastic. He is, I said, doing the whole Wakizashi Seven Sisters series. This one has a Midari hamon. We've discussed the different types of hamon. And what Matsuba does is, in between the waves, he has a sense of embodying this fire and energy, unlike almost any smith I've ever seen. I just love the vibrancy of his forgings and his blade. The blade has a solid gold habaki collar, and the fittings on this also extremely special. There's something called tosagu sets. A tosagu set is when all of the fittings were done by one artist. This is rare. When I outfit a sword, when I'm producing a new sword, I search the world for fittings that match the theme that we picked for that client. And we combine them. And so we're combining different antique fittings from different eras, different artisans. A tosagu set is nice and rare because it's all matched and all done by one well-known artist. The samurai sword is the only piece of art that we know of that requires so many different masters to complete. There's no other piece of art that takes 7 licensed masters to complete a sword. There's not any part of the sword that can be done by anybody who hasn't performed a unpaid apprenticeship under a master, anywhere from 5 to 14 years, depending on which part. So the person who forges the blade, of course, is a master. The person who makes the handle has to be a licensed master. The person who wraps the handle, you gotta be licensed after undergoing an apprenticeship. The person who makes the habaki, the collar, which in this case is solid gold, has to be a master. And the saya, which in many cases is the longest time to produce, depending on the artwork that you want on the piece. It takes a long time to get this done because the black urushi lacquer, a centuries old process, always looks wet. You can see it always looks shiny. That's because technically it never dries, it cures. So when the master is producing the finish on a saya, he gets it set by about April, and then it sits in a curing cabinet throughout the very, very humid Japanese summer until about September or October. And it could be longer depending on how many coats of lacquer and how many levels you want to put on it. This is so magnificent and so unique that I have never seen anything like this ever. Now, that's a big statement. The Legend of Dragon Gate is popular. I've seen lots of swords based on that legend. I've seen lots of scabbards, both for katana, wakizashi, tanto. I've seen them all rendered in different artistic forms. This particular artist chose to do something that I not only have never seen, I've never even heard of, and I never would have thought of. That's what makes masters, I guess. I didn't know he was doing it until the sword got delivered. You don't tell these guys anything. You just tell them what you kind of would like to see. They don't even give you a final drawing or something. They're on their own. Not by choice, by the way, but because they're masters. So it starts out with the carp down here at the pool, and it's all done in solid silver. Beautiful. The back has the waves with singular dots of silver. The legend has to be portrayed with the carp down here at the bottom, and then some kind of reference to a waterfall, and then at the top, a dragon or the suggestion of a dragon, maybe just the head of a dragon. Sometimes they do just the dragon, sometimes they do just the fish, leave the dragon to the imagination. He chose to do both. But that's not the unique thing. What he did in this is he has the carp down here. He has the waterfall right here on the edge of the saya. And it's beautifully rendered. It's sifted silver. He devises a small sieve that he sifts the silver particles onto the wet urushi, and he symbolizes the waterfall. And the other difficult part is, how do you render a piece of art on wood to make it look like it's underwater with the fish and the waterfall? He does it. It's sort of a shimmering effect. It's beautifully and delicately painted on. Wonderful. But again, what's the unique part? The dragon up here at the top is rendered in transition. It's in metamorphosis. I've never seen that before. It's just usually the dragon. The fish is here, the dragon's here. Your mind connects the dots. He did it differently. He's got the head of a dragon and the fins, which are now giant, and the fins of the koi fish are like translucent 3 or 4 shades of silver with little gold dots sifted in along the way. And then it transitions into the golden scales of the dragon, and then the head of the dragon, and then the kuragata, which is normally extremely plain, is gold with the scales of the dragon. Who does it? Nobody that I've ever seen before. So it's unique, it's magnificent, and it's a fitting tribute to the man whose memory it's dedicated to. I want to thank the owner for loaning it to us today so we could see it. If you have any questions about the Wakizashi series, It is technically sold out. Number 2, Dreamcatcher. If you go to the website, you'll see all 3 that have been completed. Number 2, Dreamcatcher is available now on the secondary market. The owner is selling that as he's transitioning up, having caught the samurai bug. So that's available for sale, and it is a magnificent piece that has a kogai and a kozuka on it. So go check that out. And go check we'll have some information in a few weeks about the one that's in production. That won't be available until Christmas time this year, I'm hoping. Anyway, thanks for watching us. Don't forget to press subscribe, leave comments. We love comments. Let us know where you're watching from, or what country. We're real interested in that. In the meantime, we become a tradition. We started a tradition, closing with the words of my pop. Thanks for your time. See you next time.